In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common questions that are asked in call center interviews, and I'm going to help you plan fantastic answers that are going to land you the job. Let's start with the first question that is something that comes up all the time when you're working in a call center. So you want to really know how to deal with this and show the person on the other side of the interview panel that you're actually going to deal with this properly. So if you get an angry call from a customer, the first thing you're going to talk about doing is that you're going to listen, because that's really what the customer wants. They want someone that is going to listen to their issue, that they're being listened to is really the most important thing. So say that in your interview. You're then going to apologize sincerely. You want to show sincerity, and then you're going to refocus on a solution. So when you're explaining this to your interviewer, just go through these 3 arrows. Start by saying how you're going to listen, then you're going to apologize, and then you're going to immediately go straight to the solution. So while you're listening to them, you're always looking for a solution. And a great phrase to get in your interview is that you want to be a great representative of the brand. You want to take that customer that's had perhaps a negative experience and turn everything around, make the brand get its reputation back. So you're going to do everything you can to be a positive representative of the brand, and you're going to solve the customer's problem. And so here's another way to explain what you're trying to do. Basically, you're leading the customer on a journey from angry through to, the sympathetic voice that's responsive to their concerns, and they're going to leave satisfied. Your goal at the end is that that customer is happy and they are no longer angry, and they are, have a positive opinion of the brand. And so if you get in all those 3 arrows, and then you talk about that process on the other diagram, you will absolutely nail this question, and they'll be really impressed with you. So question 2, have you ever experienced conflict with your team leader or manager? And this can come up, and they don't really want to employ people that are going to be the cause of conflict. So you have to satisfy them that you're going to be on the right end of this, that you're the, very professional. So you'll start by talking about, fundamental agreement that a team leader and yourself, you want the best for the customers. You want them to have a great experience. And so you can start with that agreement. So perhaps your team leader has pulled you up on something, and instead of being defensive, you listen to what they've said and you take on board their feedback. And so you could give an example about a time where a team leader has corrected you on maybe a technical aspect. So make it something really specific, a technical aspect of what you're doing. And then you have changed how you work, and it's improved what you've done. So you can talk about the conflict in a positive sense, that they have challenged you on something and you have adapted, responded, and now you're better at your job. That's a great example to give. It doesn't have to be a call center example. It can be any manager you've ever had. Find an example where they've picked up on something minor and you have corrected it and improved. So that's also showing that you're a team player and that you have experienced growth, that you are better because of that interaction. The bad answers show a lack of reflection. So you haven't actually taken on board what your team leader or manager said. You haven't reflected on what you're doing. The worst thing you can do in this question is to give a catastrophic example of like a massive falling out you had. It should be a really minor thing. So choose a minor example and never paint yourself as a victim. Like I had this awful team leader who was really horrible and nasty, and I hated working there. That's the wrong thing to do. That's a wrong way to answer this question. Focus on something minor that you fixed and everything was better and you have a great relationship, because they want people that form good relationships and can respond well to being challenged. That's what they're looking for with this question. If you satisfy them of that, you'll do really well on this one. So let's move on to question 3. Why did you leave your last job? And this is a dangerous question. If you answer this badly, it can cost you the entire job. So be very careful. So I've given you some plus points and some negative points. You want to mention as many of these positive points. So leaving the job voluntarily is a good thing. On good terms, you can talk about how, your employer would happily take you back, that, you left very positively. That's a great sign. Family circumstances is a good excuse because, family does trump a lot of things. Moving location, if your partner's got a new job somewhere else and you're moving, So anything that's involuntary, like I would have loved to have stayed at my last job, however, practically it just wasn't possible, and it was such a shame, and I'm really sad to leave. That's what they want to hear. And talk about the positives of the job as well. If none of those apply, just really emphasize the positives about this job. I'm leaving the last job because I'm looking for these opportunities, and this absolutely matches what I'm looking for. So try and be positive as much as possible. Things you really don't want to talk about is, being fired. If you can get around that, that's a great one. Don't mention any disputes or arguments. That sets you up as someone who's negative and is potentially a problem, because the people interviewing you don't know the whole story, and they're maybe inclined to line up on the other side and say the company's probably right and maybe you're just a bit moody. So you don't want to do that. Don't mention being passed over for a promotion. That's basically saying you're having a tantrum and leaving, which doesn't look good. Never, ever, at any point, ever say anything negative about your previous employer, and never say anything negative about anyone you have ever worked for. It's an absolutely fundamental rule. Do not say anything negative about anyone or anything at any point in the interview ever. If you do that, it massively reduces your chances of getting the job. So focus on the positive side, really try and avoid talking about the negatives, and don't criticize anyone. So let's move on to question 4. You may want to take a note of some of this. So in question 4, what makes you well qualified to working in a call center? And they're really looking for fundamentally 4 things. And if you can assure them that you have each of these 4 characteristics in your answer, you'll do really well on this. And it may not be asked exactly this way. They may ask you, why would you like to work in a call center? Or why do you think you'd be good in this job? Some kind of variation on that. You can really go down this route really well. So they want people that are, one, reliable, that are actually going to be there. They want the place to be staffed. They're employing you to do a job, so they want you to be there. You can talk about being able to work at short notice, that you can be in and be very flexible. Customer focus, so prepare an example of when you provided amazing customer service in any previous job. Show that you know the company and the products. So I'm very qualified to work here because I know your business. I'm a customer, I've been a customer, or I know and I've researched exactly all your products, and I can answer lots of questions about it because I've done my research. That's really good, because that means you need slightly less training and you're probably going to be easier to train. So that's a really great positive to get in there. You can talk about, being calm and friendly, that you're very professional, that you enjoy talking on the phone, and you're very cool under pressure. And then the last thing that's really good to get in there is really sell yourself on your previous experience. And if you've got a good reference, actually bring that reference with you. So you can say, in my opinion, I feel that I'm well qualified for these reasons. However, on top of this, it's not just my opinion. My previous manager, my previous boss, they have said all these wonderful things about me. So it's not just me that thinks this. I actually have evidence of another person that shares this view. And if you can get that across, that really doubles your strength of your answer if you've got someone else backing you up on all these points in writing. So prepare a reference. It's a really powerful thing in an interview. And let's look at the last question, number 5. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is a dangerous question because you can reveal certain things that are very negative. So you're going to avoid that, and you're going to focus on the positive side. So you want to say something that makes sense. You're not going to be the chief executive of the company in 5 years, and you want something that's plausible. You want to show that you've got a clear plan, that you've actually thought about what you want to do in 5 years, and you're aware of what the company can offer. So if the company provides any sort of training, if there's any mentoring, anything like that, you want to find out as much as you can about. And if you can't find out something, that is your question to ask at the interview. On the other hand, a really awful answer has got, so if we skip through that, and a really awful answer is something that is unrealistic, that says you're entitled, I deserve a promotion, and it contradicts, the company's goals. So the worst thing you can do in this question is to say that you're going to leave. So the positive things to focus on is you could talk about, earning a team leader post, to be supervising other people in the call center, and you're going to get there by being really outstanding in your current role. So you can talk about how you're going to earn a +1 in 5 years' time, or perhaps you don't want promoted, and that's fine. You're going to talk about how you're going to use those 5 years to be absolutely amazing at what you do. And you may talk about taking on a small extra responsibility. So you might love teaching people things. So you might want to get involved in a little bit more teaching, mentoring someone else, buddying up with new people. Those sort of things are great things to mention if you're not looking for a promotion. So hopefully this video has been very helpful to you, and best of luck in your call center interview. Thank you for watching.